got lots of UFO news to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, to start with, the Pentagon has failed its audit 7 years in a row. Where is that money going? Well, Tim Burchett suggests an interesting idea.
They've just failed their seventh audit, and yet how will we punish them? How have we punished them in the past? We've given them more millions, well, billions actually, of more dollars than they've asked for, and they cannot account for over $1 trillion in assets, man. I mean, that's like they can't account for a battleship, and no one's holding them accountable. They're spending that money on something. They won't issue. They have reports. They give them to us, and they're heavily redacted. They have photographs. They have film. They have footage. We've had sworn testimony to tell us that. And they've also told us this is not any of our enemies or our allies or we don't have the capability. Humans don't even have the capability to survive in the movements. The Tic Tac videos are very evident. They said those videos first didn't exist. Then the pilots came out and said, wait a minute, that's us on there. That's, the guys who are talking. You can hear them talking, the pilots, and I've talked to them. And then they come back and say, well, we don't know what they are. So let's get to the bottom of it. Donald Trump.
Okay, Donald Trump is going to provide disclosure. I certainly hope so. That's what Tim is saying. But yeah, his point is they're spending a lot of money on something that we don't know what it is, but at the same time, we know they're covering up UFO stuff. So, are they spending that money on the UFO control group? Is that possible? Yeah, absolutely it's possible. David Grush said they were siphoning money away from Congress, congressionally approved programs, into the UFO control group. And that seems to be what Tim is also suggesting here. Yeah, that's very likely where some of that money is going. Yeah, and meanwhile, we have people like Ryan Graves responding to the hilarious Dr. Kozlowski Senate hearing.
However, I would argue that some of these cases are quote unquote debunked or no longer of interest. Specifically, the Go Fast video itself was never really interesting because it was going fast. The pilots certainly didn't say that, nor did they name the video. If anything, the Pentagon simply debunked their own naming for that video. What is interesting, what's anomalous, is that that video was captured within minutes of the gimbal video. And it just goes to further show that there were many more objects operating in that area than the first video shows.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Did you know that the gimbal video and the Go Fast video were taken at about the same time? Now we know the gimbal video is actually showing one object in a fleet of objects. So I think there were 4 or 5 other objects moving in a formation, a fleet, if you will. And now we have another object to add to that, taking it around the same time, but obviously not part of that formation. So, yeah, a lot of activity at around the same time. That's what Arrow should be studying if it were a legitimate organization and not the disinformation organization that it is today. Unfortunately, we have articles like this. Yeah, Pentagon solves one of its highest profile UFO mysteries. That's right, debunking the Go Fast is making national news. Instead of Lou Elizondo a week before saying, yeah, there's a UFO reverse engineering and crash retrieval program. So was the timing of the Arrow hearing in the Senate timed to debunk or diffuse the real hearing that happened a week before? And a lot of people, including myself, were underwhelmed by that hearing. But we did have Lou Elizondo saying, yeah, there's a UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. I think a lot more time should have been spent on Lou. I think he should have been the star. A lot of time was wasted on Mike Gold. And, I love Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, but he's not a direct witness or participant. So I think Lou and his information really should have been the centerpiece of that hearing because he has a lot more to say than he said in that hearing. And we've all heard him say that before, and I've reported on it, and I'm sure you've seen and read about it. A lot of juicy stuff that Lou could have spoken to that he did not. And yeah, so it is what it is, but it wasn't all a waste. It was a pretty solid hearing. At least it kept the conversation going, or it would have if not for the stupid Dr. Kozlowski hearing that is now going to dominate the headlines, saying things like the Go Fast video has been debunked, which of course it has not. That is a lie. That is disinformation. As Ross Coulthart says, F them. Meanwhile, Jeremy Corbell responds. He says, Arrow is begging for whistleblowers to trust them today. They know you do not. Past actions dictate future actions. In a reality where lies are told as truth and truth is told in lies, what matters is if we have enough information to fall for it or not. Go UFO transparency. Absolutely 100%. Now, speaking of Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp hints that Jeremy might be working on another documentary. Here he is talking about the behind-the-scenes stuff at the Lou Elizondo hearing.
And I think there's a lot more that's going to be coming out. Jeremy had a crew that was following him around that documented every step of the way of this process and has been doing so for a couple of weeks, or actually a couple of months. So I think we're going to be able to see a lot more step by step what was offered, what the response was, and why it wasn't accepted in the coming months.
So there you go. Maybe a new documentary or something from Jeremy Corbell, who had a news crew or a camera crew with him in the behind the scenes of that hearing. So maybe we'll get a documentary about that hearing or, related events. Can't wait to find out. Meanwhile, one of my favorite personalities in the world of UFOs, Matthias DeStefano, is going back to Egypt. That's right, he's taking a group of people on a tour of the temples in Egypt and probably the Great Pyramid. He's done that before and had some incredible testimony saying that they saw Matthias conjuring fire out of his hands, controlling the weather, summoning a storm, having people have out-of-body or transcendent experiences during these activation ceremonies at these temples. Just truly incredible stuff. And when I heard about that, I said, man, I've got to go to Matthias next time he goes to Egypt. Well, he's going back, I think, in February. But I don't know if I'm going to go. Tickets start at $13,000. Going with Robert Edward Grant. It's going to be a nice tour, 2 tour boats. You get your own room. So if you want your pal Jack to go to Egypt with Matthias DeStefano and report on these transcendent experiences, buy a lot of hats. See the merch store below. Speaking of George Knapp, he says, sincere thanks to the millions who have watched Investigation Alien. The series has been in Netflix's top 10 shows since its release. So that's awesome. So Investigation Alien is doing well. Hopefully we'll get a season 2. There was some gangbusters stuff in that season, especially that one UFO that went under the water. That was such a cool clip, and we wouldn't have gotten that without Investigation Alien. In fact, they got that video while they were pursuing the investigation. So yeah, awesome stuff. Can't wait for the next season. And meanwhile, we have Danny Sheehan having an interesting conversation with the third phase of the moon. Now, say what you will about third phase of the moon, but it's an interesting conversation, and it raises a question.
To get that thing passed this year. If they do, then the people can come forward.
But this is a legal operation, so therefore whistleblowers could come forward at any time. There's nothing to say that they can if they're covering up an illegal operation between Congress and the president. So
that's the theory, but that doesn't prevent the gunshot.
Hey, well said there.
Okay, so Danny's saying that we need more whistleblower protections, which I've heard around, across the board, that absolutely we need better whistleblower protections, and maybe that's what's slowing down the coming out of David Grush's whistleblowers, or his witnesses, into the UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs. But I'm left confused by this idea that new whistleblower protection laws would slow down the assassin's bullet. I don't think the UFO control group, if they're going to send people out to take you out, are concerned about laws. So while I totally believe we need better whistleblower protection, to protect against, the bureaucratic terrorism that David Grush described. How exactly do the laws prevent the UFO control group from taking people out? So I hope Danny is able to clarify that at some point. And if you've seen that, please let me know. Meanwhile, getting back to Egypt while I feed Benny, Ross Coulthart is in Egypt. That's right. I can't wait to hear about his experiences in Egypt. I wish he'd been able to go with Matthias. That would have been amazing to have a reporter like Ross reporting on these incredible encounters. But yeah, this stunning spiritual schooling site at Hathor's Temple of Resonance and Creation shows the cosmology of the zodiac, the revelation of raising the temple through levitational means, and the idea of primordial beings seeding creation. I think there's a lot to learn from ancient Egypt. They clearly had some knowledge. Hathor may have been a real being that may still be around today and interacting with Chris Bledsoe, the lady. And he believes that she is going to make an appearance in 2027, possibly in Utah. If that happens, man, I want to be there. Speaking of going places, Timothy Alberino is going back to Peru. Looks like I'm going back to Peru. These mammoth megalithic stones are located in the area of Peru where I used to live, San Martin. I wonder what else is there. Talking about the Kapuli megaliths, which I know nothing about. But look at these giant blocks that are supposed to be in that area. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but obviously it's got to be related to the culture that was building megalithic sites around the world, or at least sharing knowledge of how to build these sites around the world. Is that further proof of the existence of Atlantis or some lost ancient civilization? Probably so. Maybe Tim will get to the bottom of it when he goes back to Peru. Meanwhile, this is making the rounds again. It's one of my all-time favorite UFO sightings. I just love it. It's a live broadcast, and news anchors were audibly reacting to numerous UAP orbs visibly flying around the sky on the city cam, the live city cam. Yeah, check out this amazing UFO display. It's like they're swimming around up there. That is just an incredible sighting, guys. I love it. UFOs are so weird, and Benny agrees. What are they doing up there? Is that some sort of disclosure event like the Phoenix Lights? Are they making a deliberate display? What is going on in this crazy live cast? Meanwhile, Lou Elizondo is coming to my neck of the woods, Texas.
Hi, everybody. Lou here. Had a really, really wonderful night with our friends here in Springfield, Missouri. Nixa, fantastic at the Atos Theater. Just a really wonderful time. Thank you all so much for coming out. And now we're on our way to Dallas, Texas, via Houston. So cannot wait to see you all there. We're going to talk about your favorite discussion, right? Disclosure, and where we are and why we need you all involved. So can't wait to see you guys, and can't wait to see you, Texas. Bye-bye.
All right, that's awesome. He's going to Houston. That's the city of my birth. I love it. Best food in the world in Houston. Houston is awesome. I wish I could go and hang out with Lou. That'd be so cool. But seriously, Lou, watch the road. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, especially if you want me to go to Egypt. Or become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.